Alright classes, today you guys are going to look at your first benchmark exam that you took this month, and we're going to break down what your strengths and areas for improvement are based on the results you get. So first of all, you're going to have this sheet here that's going to give you all 10 questions, and what you're going to do is as you watch the video, you're going to check mark either you got the answer right or wrong. If you got it wrong, was it a simple mistake, something very basic maybe? Or, and whatever your mistake was, if you made one, please describe it very briefly in the space over here. The instructions are pretty self-explanatory, I believe. So, for the sake of time, because today is a short day, let's go ahead and get right into the explanation of the benchmark exam. All right, so here we go. First of all, we have problem number 1. The problem was about a turtle dove that was diving at a constant rate. What you should have identified or seen from this problem was that we have a turtle dove diving at this rate in this many seconds. Now, because it's a scantron or a bubble-in kind of question, you have to turn this fraction into a decimal because there is yet been developed a scantron that has a fraction way of putting in your answer. So a decimal, 1/4 equals 0.25. After this, all you have to do is just divide. And here's the work for division, as you can see here. And after dividing, you have your rate, but the answer they wanted was just how many feet in 1 second, and the answer would have been this. So you had a negative sign, a decimal, and then you tried to bubble this all in correctly on your Scantron. All right? So let's go ahead and move on to the second problem. The second one now had to do with this algebraic equation shown as a picture. You can identify here that one of these bars is an x, so two of these is 2x, like we have here in the equation. You have 4 minus signs, which stands for negatives. So collectively, these 4 are negative 4 or minus 4. They equal 8 of these plus boxes, which are positive ones, so a positive 8. From here, we get an equation. All you have to do now is remember your steps for solving a two-step equation. Here we have the t-charts, the steps. Remember we follow SADMAP backwards. And then we have all the math over here to get x equals 6. There are other ways you could have solved these problems, and if you got them correct some other way, great. There's no problem in doing it other ways. These are the ways that we've been taught consistently this semester. Now, we have problem number 3, which is the question about the grade point average. It changed by negative 0.16 points every grading period. So we wanted to know how much would it have changed after 4 grading periods. All you had to do was multiply. So we had multiplying of negatives and decimals here to get our answer, which was choice A. Now let's move on to the next question. So here we have question number 4. You were to analyze this chart and basically just find the constant rate of change. You could see here that if we subtract or find the differences of all the amounts of money, we have a consistent rate of $5.50. That's choice F. Next, we have question number 5. Number 5, it's about William and this equation. The school overall did really good on this question, so I'm very impressed. But if you happen to miss this question, maybe there are several different reasons you can explain to help me out so I can better teach you. So here we have the whole problem. They give us an equation. Basically, this is like a two-step problem again. Instead of an equal sign, though, we have the inequality sign. Behaves the exact same way. What I believe is that a lot of you were able to solve this, except you didn't understand what maybe the answer was telling us. Because that's what this problem is about, understanding what the actual true correct answer really means compared to all 4 of these choices here. So hopefully if that was an issue, you can write that down so we can better cover examples like this in the future. Now, we have problem number 6. This problem had to do with Stop Shop. They had basically a unit rate. You had this much money for this many cases of soda. So like always, you should find a unit rate. Find out how much for one, especially when you're buying things. So here we had $3.45 a case, and there we go. They gave us these answers here probably to confuse you between F and G to transpose these numbers, which is kind of unfair and kind of a mean trick, but hopefully you got it right anyways. Once again, I'm going to bet that if you got it wrong, it might have been the actual division of decimals that stumped you. Now, moving on to number 7. Number 7, we had 4 charts. What you had to do was basically read the story, understand what's being told in the story, and how it relates to each of these charts. Now, most of you, I believe, did understand at least the basic idea. Excuse me. But I think a lot of you got caught up is when you had this $5 and the 10. See, all these charts here have patterns of 5s and 10s that you could all find very easily. But notice that these charts have 2 big differences. These first 2 go from 1 to 5. These go from 4 through 8. What I decided to do in helping you describe the answer was I did a chart, one big chart based on the problem that goes from 0 all the way to 6 to cover everything that should be in the correct chart. So we had the $5 she started off with plus the $10 she makes for every lawn. Basically, this is what the equation would look like. So if she mows no lawns or doesn't work on any yard, she still has the $5 in her pocket. After that, every yard she mows makes her an extra $10. So this is what the actual correct chart should look like. And when we look at our choices here, we see choice chart number D down here. There is no rule that says all charts have to begin from 0 or at 1. It's standard practice to do that, but nothing says that on a test we can start wherever we want. So be wary of that in the future. Now, moving on to problem number 8. Here, we had this problem, and that was about Leonardo and the bike rent. This is very similar to the problem we had number 6. And here we have just a story that we have to turn into an equation. So we have, in the reverse order, I guess, we have the $20 he paid just to rent the bike, plus the $150 an hour they charge him just to ride around with the bike. So he's paying two things. This fee doesn't change. This right here tells us this depends on how many hours. This is the variable, 150 for every hour. So the total amount they wanted was y. You had to find the equation that best fit the scenario, and that would be g. Because here, $20, nothing's being, other than just being added to the rental fee, it is by itself. Here, 20 is with x, which means that $20 is being charged every single hour, and that's not true. And down here, you're trying to solve for y. Here they're giving us 1.5x, and that doesn't even make sense. So J should not have been chosen, hopefully. Now let's move on to number 9. Here we have the story between Natalie and Sandra, and then how they drive. You should have realized that they're giving you two rates. They want you to take these rates and basically simplify them, or you could have straight up just divided them into a decimal because all the answer choices here are in decimal form. So once we divided both of these rates into decimals, we have the two speeds. And remember, with speed, if you're talking about how far you're going, the the shorter your time or the smaller your time, the faster you're going in this case, especially if you're going the same distance as somebody else. So they both go 1 mile, but Natalie did it a lot, or I guess a few tenths of a second or tenths of a minute, excuse me, faster than Sandra. So the correct answer was choice C. And finally, number 10. Number 10, we as teachers, Mr. Andrade and I decided that we weren't going to kind of overlook this question because we told you guys we haven't really done percents yet. But here you feel free to look at the whole analysis of what they wanted to do. We will be covering this soon. So if you did miss it, we understand. And this one you're kind of forgiven for. So we took that into consideration when we overlooked these tests. Now go ahead and go back to your weekly strength document that we talked about in the very beginning. And go ahead and please describe, as best as you can, what mistakes were made in all the problems. If the learning targets here, if you have something else different than what was listed here on the side, by all means list it over here so we can help address it in the future. And that way you can help better understand what you need to work on and what you're already doing pretty good at. All right, good luck today, guys, and have a good day.